it's Kate Brownfield from ADHDkidscanthrive.com. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all your support. My guest today is Mindy Hudon. She's a speech-language pathologist, author, and creative of innovative educational tools. She's dedicated herself to empowering children and adults alike to overcome communication challenges and develop essential life skills. She created a product called Be a Timekeeper Clock, which is for young children to help them understand the passage of time in a fun and engaging way. And she is also the author of an award-winning graphic novel for junior high, even high school kids, really anybody of any age, called Cody's Adventures: How I Learned to Defeat the Time Snatchers. This engages readers of all levels while providing invaluable executive function strategies. Please enjoy our conversation. Okay, so Mindy, let's start from the beginning. If you could just share a little bit about your parenting journey and your journey as a professional, as SPL as well.
Okay, great. So first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I'm excited that you have my book and that you liked it. So yes, I'm a speech language pathologist, and I started my career working in the medical facilities, working with a lot of people who had traumatic brain injuries or strokes, and we worked a lot on executive function skills. When I had my twins, I ended up moving into the school systems for the schedule, started working a lot with children. And I found that even with my intervention, traditional intervention, I was missing something for these kids. And I started really kind of diving deep into executive function because at the time, my own child, I was seeing signs of his struggles, and I wanted to make sure that I could help him. So I started learning more and more about executive functions, specifically time management. And I developed a clock called the Be a Timekeeper Clock for younger kids, because I felt that we have high expectations of children and we try to have them comply with our expectations around time. We say, I told you 5 minutes ago, or 10 minutes we're leaving, and children cannot see or feel the passage of time.
Right.
So I created the clock, and it's a visual clock, and it helps with planning and help children with transitions and self-regulation. So it's been very, very effective. But when I made the clock, I thought I should write a children's book to kind of go along with the clock.
So the clock in the back corner there? Okay.
Up there. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm wiggly because I'm holding my phone. But anyway, yes. So I started with a children's book about this clock and a character in the clock and how he's time challenged. And I went the traditional publishing route, and everybody's like, yes, I have a time snatcher in my life, but no, thank you. So I am governed by the American Speech Language Hearing Association. That's where I have my certification. Mm-hmm. And I received an email from them saying that they were publishing children's books, which I had never seen. So I said, I have this book in a file. I'm just going to send it to them. So I did, and they got back to me and said, we love the idea, but we really like it into a graphic novel for middle schoolers. And I'm like, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Hey, you give me this opportunity, I would absolutely learn how to write a graphic novel. And I am self-diagnosing myself with ADHD, and I feel that visuals have always been my go-to. I use them in my practice. I use them in my life. So when I started writing a graphic novel, I just love that medium so much because it's so visual.
Did you draw the pictures?
I didn't. Wish I was that talented.
Okay. But you had the vision to help like a graphic artist do it?
Yeah. When you write a graphic novel, you have to actually write a description of what you want in each panel. So I had to visualize what I wanted to see Cody go through in his day-to-day life. So I created the book, and it's been amazing. So it really started with the clock, but it has grown into something more than just working with younger children using the clock.
Yeah, that's great. I think graphic novels too. I remember when my son was in junior high, graphic novels are so great because they don't feel overwhelming to read. It seems digestible, doable, like, okay, I can read this book, or I can do a couple pages at a time.
You know,
okay, so very
with kids with ADHD, they don't want to sit down for that much time, but those visuals just engage them. It just draws them in and makes them feel successful.
It's great, Mindy.
Thank you.
Okay, so talk to us about why is time management so hard for ADHD kids?
I think in general, like I said, I feel that we expect a lot as parents, and we expect our children, even our young children, to comply with our expectations around time. Children with ADHD often have more of a cognitive executive function lag in their age. And even though they're older, maybe they're 9 or 10, we are expecting them to comply with that age level when their executive function age may be like 6 or 7. Would you ask a 6 or 7-year-old to be managing their time that way? And I feel that we don't, as parents, myself included, we don't teach children about time management. Schools teach children about reading a clock. And nowadays it's more digital, which is a now time, not a future time or past time like an analog clock. So I'm a huge advocate of analog clocks. But we need to show them so they can learn to see and feel that passage of time.
Yeah.
And it's something that they need to be taught. They need to have expectations. They need to have a plan. They need to have a heads up. I think that's why children always ask, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because they cannot see or feel that passage when they're sitting in the back of the seat of a car and they don't have a clock or they don't know how to read a clock. Just imagine someone taking away all your timepieces. How would you function on a day-to-day basis? And I think children in general have that issue, but a child with ADHD, we expect a lot more because we feel that their cognitive age is the same as their executive function age. And unfortunately, it's not. It's lagging. Right. And I think that we need these tools or systems to help children be more successful and feel successful.
Right. And it often falls on the parents, right? To really put that structure around it versus the school. I mean, kids.
Well, I don't agree with that 100%. I think it's a combination. I think that executive function strategies can be incorporated into a classroom.
Yes.
With my goal in the schools, I did a lot of training with teachers, and we still do. My business partner and I, we do workshops all the time for parents and children. It's a village, right?
And to the teachers, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
I feel like the teachers are really good in elementary school. And then there's an expectation that all kids have time management skills by the time they hit junior high and older. And then so it's not as supported.
It isn't.
That's my personal experience.
It's absolutely true, because I feel that because they're in middle school, you expect them to be able to do this.
Right.
Again, they're not at that executive function age to really be able to do that. That's why they're struggling.
Yeah.
They're not struggling because they're lazy. They're not struggling because they just don't want to do it. It truly is they have the need from us as educators to help them with that. Yeah. And unfortunately, they're not taught that even when they're younger, right? It's just expected.
Okay. So Mindy, what for parents who are at home supporting their ADHD child, what are some strategies that they can put in place to help build time management skills?
Okay. Like I said, I feel that analog time is the way to really start. Not only teaching them how to read it, but also how to manage their time. So there is a woman called Mary D. Sklar. She does a workshop called Seeing My Time, which is amazing. And she's a huge advocate of analog. And I agree with her, because you can see it, you can plan with it. When you look at a digital clock, that's your now time. So as a parent, I would put a lot of analog clocks, like in the book. For Cody, he had a digital clock and not an analog clock. And he learned strategies through the analog clock to plan ahead. And, one of the things that you just said is that, yes, parents have to be involved. Even though parents may purchase my clock and love it and put it in front of their child, the child still doesn't know how to use it, right? We have to be that person to scaffold those skills and to teach them, that about time. So if you go in and it's 3:00 and if they don't even know how to tell the time, you can say, see that long hand? It's on the 12. When it gets to the 6, we are going to be leaving. you have to plan that ahead. So then kids can monitor their own time by watching the clock and be more successful that way because you're planning ahead. I also think that when you do plan ahead and you give time expectations, maybe you want them to get their homework done, there's got to be some kind of positive reward at the end for them to feel that they've done what they needed to do in an expected time.
Right.
The other thing is, like in the
So
book,
what would be like a reward?
it could be, it could be that time on games if they want to do
Yeah.
gaming, or going outside and playing with their friends, or that special time reading a book with you, right? You get your work done, I'll get my work done. We'll be 6:30, we're together, and you plan that time to be with them. I think they want that time, and we need to kind of be that role model for them, that if we set up our time, you set up your time, and we'll do something together. Watch a special movie, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Whatever the family feels is a successful thing, as a positive reward for doing what's expected with time.
Yeah. Okay. So Mindy, what do you think? So I want to hear from you why you think how this book, I'm going to show it again, and it's available on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you get this book, how can this help parents and a child who struggles with time management?
Okay.
What can they expect from reading this book and putting it and adding it to part of the support for a child?
I found from having it being read by middle schoolers and even a high school student, a 14-year-old read it. My goal was that children would make connections and see themselves in the book, see the challenges that Cody has that they may be experiencing, and then know that there's help for them to utilize the strategies in the book. At the end of the book, as you know, all the strategies are listed for the kids as well as the parents to kind of implement into their life and try one. I did a library workshop, and I had some kids, the library purchased the book, and the kids read it, and they came with their families. And I was like taken back when one little girl said, I used my money, I went to a consignment shop, and I bought an analog watch.
Wow.
That was what she got out of it. She asked her parent. So letting them guide you of what they see in the book.
Yeah.
And how you can, not just saying, do this, do this, do this, but do you see anything in the book that would help you be more successful? And for this little girl, it was getting herself an analog watch. And that just was why I wrote the book. I want children to feel that and see it's not a bad thing that they're having challenges, but if they can identify with something that they would like to fix in themselves, they can do that.
Yeah. Very empowering.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was very, and my nephew too, he went to his mother and said, can I have some bags? I need to clean up my room. And I'm like, that is awesome.
It's a miracle. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So Mindy, as we wrap up, like what would be your words of wisdom for parents who personally have experience in this in your life and also as a professional? So I know you have wise advice to give parents who are just starting on the journey or stuck in the journey.
I think you have to be patient, and that's hard. That's hard when you're with children every day and you have your own schedule to get in and out of the house. But I think working together and listening to the child and reading books like Cody and making those connections with your child, I think it's important. I would teach them about analog time. I would show them what it looks like to feel and see that time expectation. Some children think that it's going to take a lot of time, and doing something like the time estimation gives you an idea of really how much time little things take. Children with ADHD feel that it's going to take them all day to clean their room. They can't do it. They're going to drag. And when you really put it down in a task, in a time estimation, how much time do you think it's going to take you to do this? Then they can plan it out and see that it's not realistic, that they're kind of time blind in that way, and that they really had more time, or it took them less time to complete a task. So I would kind of start with one area that they feel is the most challenging. And once they've grasped that, then move on to the next challenge. Yeah. You can't put it all on them at once. And you also have to be that person to support them. And I think that's the key, is having family support and not being, ridiculed that you weren't on time, but just saying, it's okay, we'll work on it for the next time.
Great. Thank you, Mindy. This was awesome.